Hi, welcome to Brightpoint Community College's Writing Center's Guide on Conducting Research and How to Find Sources for Your Research Paper. So let's start off with finding reliable sources. Finding good sources start with choosing a topic. Make sure you start with a thesis or a topic that is narrow or specific enough to research, but broad enough to find a variety of sources. If you have a thesis already, search for the main points of it as well as any relevant context. For example, let's say your thesis for an essay on environmental science is the following. The lack of care and brutal destruction of the Appalachians in West Virginia is the direct result of classism, as the main inhabitants of the mountain range are impoverished and isolated miners with little means to access health and educational sources. So starting with that same thesis we had, we're going to highlight the key words of it so that way our research can be guided by our thesis. So we would start with context, historical examples of classism. Where else has this happened? And then we get more specific, and then we would get more specific to your thesis when the destruction of the Appalachians began. And then move towards something more specific. What are the governmental policies for environmental protections in West Virginia? Are there mining unions? Why or why not? These are great questions to ask yourself while you're researching, and it'll guide your research to find things that maybe even your reader may have questions while reading your paper. Starting with a topic. What if you don't have a thesis yet? Start with a general idea about the subject you want to talk about, and then narrow your research subject. For example, you want to write about anxiety. Ask yourself, what about anxiety? Is there a specific kind you want to focus on? Who does it affect? What causes it? What are these specific symptoms? How do they affect someone's life? What are ways to deal with the symptoms? How pricey are treatment options? What is the level of accessibility for treatment like depending on income and class? How does anxiety affect people of different races, genders even? Oh. So now after that, you want to choose a database. One helpful tool to locate research for your topic is an online database. A good starting point for these databases is the Brightpoint Library website, which includes a list of databases for different fields, as well as an overall search function. When choosing a database, ask yourself what kind of source are you looking for? A book, an audio or visual document, or a peer-reviewed article, a periodical, a counter-argument, something specific to a niche field, etc. If you're required to use a scholarly peer-reviewed source, try a large academic database like Academic Search Complete, or for the humanities, JSTOR. If you are in need of a visual source, something like Films on Demand may be more helpful to net you the right search results. More recent sources like news articles as well as case laws can be found with Google Scholar. The Opposing Viewpoints Research Center houses information on contemporary issues from different perspectives. So now we're going to focus on keywords and search filters. Much like narrowing your line of questioning, you'll need to be ultra specific when entering keywords. Try for specific concepts. Instead of say politics, go for a specific party or a political school of thought. Remember, the more specific, the more likely you are to find a source. It can also be helpful on databases to filter your sources. You might consider filtering them by date. Do you need the newest scientific research? Or is your topic historical? Field or subject. If you're writing a psychology paper, start by filtering for psychology-related journals and type of source. Research newspapers and periodicals will be helpful for current events, while academic journals will be better suited to specialized research inquiries. So once you have some sources, you need to evaluate them to make sure they are relevant to your topic and credible in your field of study. To do this, you'll want to ask, who is the author? What are their credentials, their degree at university they're associated with, being widely referenced by others in their fields, etc. And where was the source published? A peer-reviewed journal or a trusted periodical? Keep in mind, different fields require different types of source evaluation. A science paper would necessitate sources that are vetted or published by journals or organizations in that field of science, while a humanities paper might use sources whose value is more historical or representative of societal opinions. Note-taking research and paper prep. Keep in mind the ideas you need to record. Use your thesis to keep focused on the ideas you want to incorporate into your paper. Your thesis is the backbone of your essay, and it's going to drive everything that all the research that you have to do for your paper. Look for information that supports or answers your questions, and for others' opinions on which answers might be acceptable. Don't write down too much, though. An essay should express your own thoughts, not reassemble someone else's ideas. Only record the ideas that are relevant to your topic. Keep exact wording / direct quoting to a minimum. Only quote when ideas are memorable. Try to summarize rather than quote by compressing ideas into your own words. Write most important ideas as headings, then explain the idea in a few subpoints. Annotations and planning out the paper. Label your notes. Make it easier on yourself by taking notes in a way that allows for later use. Annotate rather than highlighting or underlining. Write notes in the margins or on a separate sheet of paper. Give a little bit of commentary. Ask some questions, write down reactions and thoughts, as this will help you get a head start on summarizing information you want to include. Try to keep your notes on a separate sheet of paper or on a document. It will keep your note taking focused and organized, and then organize those notes by topic. This will help you save time by getting in the habit of writing cited sources in a master list. Get ahead of the game with your works cited / bibliography and write your notes below each citation. And then finally, we have a fun game of Kahoot that we will do throughout the semester when we open this workshop. But hope that you guys have a great day and that you enjoyed this workshop. And again, feel free to come to Bright Point Community College's Writing Center for all of your writing needs. And again, hope you have a great day. Stay safe.